Welcome back. First of all, everybody, it's good to get things started. We're jumping into this phase one, which is we're doing virtually here. It's a non-mandatory camp, voluntary, in other words, and the guys can pick and choose when they show up or not show up. In other words, so it's we're not really um, going to get into who's here and who's not here and all that bit. That's not how this one works. Um, we're sure grateful for some of the new additions that we've had to the roster with Kristen Fulton, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Moore, Gardner Minshew, Jerry Tillery. I mean, these are some of the newer guys, and then we've re-signed a bunch of guys. So that's been a plus. We also lost a few guys in which I know Brett covered that with you with a couple questions about Tooney and so on, and Justin Reid and Hopkins and all of that bit. So, but those are Jalen, Justin Watson, and Wanson Wharton. So those are all good football players. In this day and age, it's tough to keep everybody in a roster hole like that, but we sure feel like we've filled in the blanks with some good football players, and that's same with the draft coming up this week. We look forward to getting into that. We've got 8 picks there, 2 second-round picks, a first-day pick, and so on as we go through there. So it should be, it should be a good positive outcome once Brett gets done with that. I know his guys have worked their tail off getting ready for the draft, and along with the coaches, which they've included. But again, the coaches were a small part of the whole. But Brett, my hat goes off to Brett and his staff for the job that they've done and all the prep time that they've put in and travel time. So other than that, I don't have much to add, but I'll open it up to questions here. Fire away.
Let's go ahead and kick it off with Pete. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. I was wondering about Jalen Moore. Obviously, not a ton of experience starting, but you guys seem to have confidence in him. I guess what told you and the team that he could be capable of doing this as a starting left tackle?
Yeah. So we felt Jalen. Well, first of all, he's backing up a pretty good player in San Francisco, arguably the best ever played a game. So I mean, and then when he got his opportunity, he took full advantage of it. We also remember him because he played next to Caliendo for 3 years and at Western Michigan. There, I think we lead the league in players from Western Michigan, but now that we've added him. But listen, he was a good football player there. When he had opportunities in San Francisco, he was a good player there. We thought that he would be a nice addition to our offensive line as we continue to work that. So
We'll go next to Adam Teicher.
Hey, Andy, how you doing?
Good. I thought you retired. You're back.
Calm down. You're getting rid of me. It's just going to take another couple months.
All right, doggone, you took those cheeseburgers. I thought you were running.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Right.
Hey, wanted to ask you about Rashee Rice and Jared Wiley as well. How are those guys doing in their rehabs, and what will their status be when you guys get together on the field in the spring, but also when camp starts? And Sid, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, I can't necessarily give you they're doing well. That's taking place right now, but I can't tell you when they'll be back exactly here. But both have been busting their tail. They're running, which is good, and we'll just see how it goes going forward here. We don't have them here on the field right now with us, so we've got to see the football part of it as we go.
Okay. And when we last saw Kingsley Suamataia, he was playing a guard, obviously up in Denver in that last game. Is that where he'll play when you guys get started again in a few weeks? Will he be a guard, number one, and number two? What led you guys to make that move with him? What did you see in him that led you to believe he'd be a productive player at that spot?
Yeah, when we brought him in, we knew he had that flexibility. We just felt that way athletically, and he's a very good athlete. He can run and he can pass block, do all the things that he needs to do. I thought he felt more comfortable in there as a young guy. Sometimes you see guys that start in there and then they work their way back outside. But so we stuck him in there, and he did a nice job against Denver. That was one of the bright spots in a game that didn't have many. So that was I thought he did a good job, and that's where we'll put him. He'll start in there with Mike Caliendo, so they'll compete for that spot.
Let's go next to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Andy.
All right, Mike.
A couple of things, if I could, Sid. One is just, Andy, you're in phase one, and I'm just curious, for you personally, what's the difference in your own mentality coming out of the way this Super Bowl went versus the last couple? I mean, you're so process oriented typically. I mean, does anything change in your mind as you're preparing for the next go round based on just what it's been like this time around?
Yeah, so I'm excited to get going again, and it's been it's been fun to go back in and dig in on the season and either come up with new things and or correct the things that we still like and are bringing back. I think it's a great time for the players. It's slowed down to where they get to see all the videos, the cut-ups, the work that the coaches have put in to do these evaluations and to teach. And so and to learn from the player standpoint. It's also good communication, so they can share ideas, players and coaches. They can ask questions, feel free about that, and there's no rush to do so. And at the same time, they get their lifting in and running in that they need to build that base to get them through the season.
Is that different somehow than it would be a year ago?
No, I tell you, it's similar. Yeah, similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry, the one other thing, I don't mean to squeeze a third in, but I do. Just you've had a nice relationships with your former Missouri players over the years, and I'm sure you're aware of Andy Locke recently dying, and I just wonder about what you recall from his playing days and any thoughts you have had about him over the years.
Yeah, it's a sad deal, but what a great guy, and he's left a nice legacy for us all here too. That we can cherish if we decide to go out to dinner. He and the true flavor of a offensive lineman. He has these beautiful restaurants in town here that are great. But what a great guy, great human being. I had a chance to go out to a tribute to him in Lee Summit there with a bunch of the ex-players and from Missouri, and Jay Greenwood being his roommate for all those years, and best friends with him. Went to the culinary school there, hotel management school at the University of Missouri, which is a tough school to get into. Both of them had graduated from there and have had real productive and positive jobs and or put themselves in great financial positions. So, but my heart goes out to the family for sure. And Drew, who we all know as a player in the National Football League, I know he had a great relationship with his dad too. So that's my heart goes out to him.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go next to Matt Derrick.
Hey, Coach, and two questions, if you don't mind, Sid. But one, 5 years ago, if we told you that you'd still be doing meetings virtually and doing it in the first phase of OTAs, would you have believed it? Could you have believed that a ball coach like yourself would have embraced this as much to kind of help your team a little bit?
Listen, man, I think it's one of the positives that came out of that, probably for a lot of professions. I mean, here we're doing this right now virtually, and that didn't happen before either. So, but you can use it as a teaching tool, and that's something that the players have perfected, we perfected, and feel comfortable doing. But no, I wouldn't have seen that before the whole COVID year showed up.
And you mentioned Gardner Minshew coming in. This is the first time Patrick's, really going to have maybe a principal backup behind him that's younger than he is. Is there a benefit to that, especially having somebody like Gardner that maybe is a little bit like him as far as that gunslinger mentality in that quarterback room to help him kind of dissect things, since Gardner's had a lot of experience too?
Yeah, he sure has. He's a good football player. I think it'll be a good relationship between the two of them. They both know of each other and respect each other, and I think they look forward to working together. They can speak more on that when you have a chance to talk to them. But Gardner's a humble kid with a great personality, loves to play the game, and all of those are the same things that Pat has too. So it should be a good working relationship there.
We'll go next to Sam McDowell.
Hey Andy, obviously Patrick is doing this virtually. I just wonder ahead of time, what kind of guidance do you provide him? I mean, is he drawing up how to spend those guys spend their time down there? Is there a script of sorts that you provide?
Yeah, you know what, Sam? We don't do that. First of all, it's not legal to do that by rules, by the NFL rules. So, and really, to be honest with you, Pat doesn't need that, especially right now with the experience he has and the experience that the receivers have. So that have joined him last year when we had some new faces or young guys in there. It was a little, it was a little different. He had to really prep for that. But this year, he can kind of go out and work on the things that he knows the guys need worked on and the routes and that. So I think it's even a better situation this year than it was last.
We'll go next to Nate Taylor.
Hey Andy, earlier you mentioned Fulton being one of the guys you all acquired in free agency. How much of that signing do you think was not only just beneficial for the secondary, but what do you feel like it can do for someone like Trent McDuffie, who has established himself as one of the best cornerbacks in the league, whether you want to keep him outside or move him back towards the slot?
Yeah, it should give you a little bit of flexibility. We've got some good corners on the roster, but I think his addition it gives you more flexibility. I think it is the best thing. I mean, you've kind of tagged that right there, that Trent is such a good inside player that and Spags likes using him in there and has a nice package in there with him when he's used him in there. So, but I think you hit it right on the head. I think it just gives you more flexibility to do that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we've got two more, so we'll go to Todd Lebo next.
Hey, Coach, a couple quick questions here, kind of on that virtual side of it. What have you learned about maybe yourself and your coaching staff doing this stuff virtually, and engagement from the players and all that? Have you learned anything about the way your process is from doing it this way?
I don't know about that. We've tried to, myself included, try to be teachers, be the best teachers we possibly can. It tests you a little bit when you're doing it virtually. You're not seeing necessarily the reaction of the player there as you have the big screen on and you're going through the plays. You're not playing off the crowd, I guess you'd say. You're playing off of and keeping these guys occupied by the ability that you have to teach and to help them become even better than what they already are. I mean, they're one out of 32 guys in the whole world that are doing what they do, but this gives them an enhancement to even be greater than what they are.
And for as far as the draft goes, I know the scouts and Brett and all those guys do most of this work for this, but we're sitting here a few days away from it. Do you feel pretty comfortable with what you guys have on the roster and the things you need, maybe lining up with the board? I know that the draft night's crazy. You never know how it's going to happen, but just what's your comfort factor right now with the way things look a couple of days out?
Yeah, I think, when you're sitting here like we have the last couple of years, and fortunate to be sitting in that position because of the wins that have taken place. But you have to discipline yourself to take the best player. And so with that, you've got to evaluate every position, and you got to put all this time in. And Brett's done a great job with that. I think he's very comfortable with it right now. If we had to do it today, so he and his guys have been working overtime and making sure they have all the bases covered, and we'll come out of there with a good football player.
We'll go last to Mick Schaefer.
Hey, Coach, I have a draft question for you too. Do you have any favorite memories from draft weekends in years past? And what's it like for you being on the phone, calling these guys, and almost every single time knowing that you're making their dreams come true with that phone call and with that pick?
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of a neat thing. I'm getting old enough now, Nick, where you have a Travis Kelsey and his brother sitting right next to him, who I drafted or had an opportunity to draft in Philadelphia. So here I can talk to both of them and tell them, hey, listen, you get your little brother in line, I can take him right here. So it's kind of fun doing that. But there are situations like that, or maybe it's a son of a kid that I coach that. We just talked about Andy Locke. I mean, when Drew was coming out, I mean, here I have an opportunity to evaluate him and see where he gets picked, and then so those situations are kind of neat to go through. But I've had so many great experiences, and there's a certain satisfaction that you get, and even though it's a little bit selfish, it's also you're so happy for the kid, but that you're able to give somebody an opportunity to play in the National Football League. I mean, what an honor that is, and these guys appreciate that. You see them, those top guys that are sitting there in the first round. These are big name guys, and they're so excited to get up there with Roger Goodell and throw them up in the air and do whatever they do with them there. I mean, that's pure excitement.
That's it for you, Coach. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
All right. We will start with Sam McDowell. Fire away, Sam.
Hey, what's up, Trent?
What's up, Sam?
Hey, just with the movement at cornerback this offseason, there's been speculation that you potentially could play inside again. Just wondered if you've had any, obviously it'd be pretty early, but any preliminary conversations about moving around again or shadowing receivers and just kind of where you envision your role. Like I said, I know it's pretty early.
Yeah, no. During our actual exit interviews with Coach Spags and OBC, they kind of talked about that, wanting to put it back at inside, certain situations, things like that. And kind of just allow me to influence the game a little bit more in there, a little bit more blitz and things like that. But as far as playing outside, matching up, it's still early, but like I told them, like anything I can do, truly, like outside, inside, cover, whoever you need me to do, like that's where I stand ever since I came in, and that's what I'm gonna continue to do.
Was there an aspect of that game, like particularly the blitzing, that you felt like you just kind of missed doing as frequently as you had the year before?
I mean, yeah, I had a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I think I told you guys that year I was playing nickel. Like that was my first time blitzing, first time being able to do that. So anytime I was at nickel, I was always praying that I was blitzing just because, Spags has some great blitzes dialed up for us. But yeah, I'm excited. I watched back the tape of my year, watched some few other guys around the league at nickel, just making sure I'm always ready, whenever they need to use me, put me in there, making sure I can go in there and execute properly.
Thanks, Trent.
Yeah.
We'll go next to Pete Sweeney. Pete?
Trent, I'll be doing well. Just curious about the Justin Reid departure and how that might impact the team and how maybe is that motivating for you in a way to kind of step into the lead there?
Yeah, I love Jay Reid. You know what I mean? I was actually with him at one of our teammates' weddings this past off season, so I was able to talk to him a little bit and congratulate him with the new baby and stuff. But he's a great player. He's one of those vets that knew the defense really well. We all had a lot of trust in him, and you see on the field like he's one of those dudes that we really relied on. So losing him always is a big factor. But the guys that we have right now, Shamari Connors, Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook. I mean, we got Mike Edwards back. All guys who know the defense really well. All guys who played a long time, and all guys that I know when we're on the back end with me, like I trust them fully. So it's always a shame. It's part of the game when guys leave, but I know these new guys and some guys who have already been around here are ready to step into that role.
We'll go next to Jesse Newell. Go ahead, Jesse.
Thanks, Kelsey. I'll have a follow-up too. Hey, Trent, speaking of Justin, he came to your defense with the fifth-year option, the Pro Bowl thing that happened where you guys used the Pro Bowl. It cost you $4 million. I don't think we asked you about it. I just wondered what your thoughts were that something like that cost you $4 million.
Yeah, coming into the league, knowing that was an option, I think my agent talked to me a little bit about it. But, I mean, for me, like I always tell you guys, like it would be amazing to be a Pro Bowler, amazing to hit the highest marks. You know what I mean? You want to get paid the most for what you do. But at the end of the day, like my job is to come here and be successful with the team. And I mean, I got 2 Super Bowl championships, and just a lot of guys that have trusted me. So when you talk about money, I mean, that'll always come. You know what I mean? As long as I'm doing my job on the field, that'll come. So not really hanging my head over it. It's something I can't change. I didn't make it. It is what it is. And I'm just looking to keep pushing forward and continue to hit new goals that I set for myself.
And speaking of money, we talked with Brett Veach last week. He said eventually this offseason probably be talking to your guys' camp about potentially an extension. I just wondered, in general, your thoughts of potentially, locking in long-term with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I love the city. You know what I mean? I love the coaches, love my teammates. I would love to be back with the team. As far as contract-wise, I mean, truly, I'm letting my agent deal with that. Like, my sole focus this year and moving forward is just football, and I love what this team has done for me, and I love what I've been able to do for them. So if it's a long-term deal, I mean, I'd be ecstatic. That's for sure.
We'll go next to Adam Teicher. Adam?
Hey, Trent. Wanted to ask about Christian Fulton. How well do you know him and his game, and what are your thoughts about him joining the Chiefs?
Yeah, I'm excited. Haven't got to really be around him too much just because, everybody's all over the place, but excited to get back in the building with him, and kind of just learn from him. I mean, I watched him last year when we played the Chargers and kind of just watching their defense and just seeing how he's able to move, seeing how he's able to match up against guys. He plays with the ball really well. And he's a really good corner. He's a vet and someone I know he's going to come in and be able to produce for us. And I think that was one of the first conversations I had with him was he was just like, I want to come in here and just do what I can for the team. And, I just love when Beach brings in people like that who aren't really here for their individual accolades, but really just for the team and coming in and supporting the team. And that's just the vibe I got from him. And I know he's gonna be able to come in here and make a name for himself for real.
We'll go next to Matt Derrick. Matt.
Hey, Trent. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, my guy.
Hey, two questions for you, if you and Kelsey don't mind. But first one, now that it's going to be your fourth year in the league, has your off-season routine changed any as far as how you get ready and how you prepare for getting ready for really more of the off-season before you go to the season?
Yeah, I think it's changed more really this off-season in terms of just the amount of time I've spent on like preparing my body, not as much of the heavy back squatting, the heavy lifting, trying to just be powerful and stuff, but really like learning how my body moves, really trying to get the mobility in my body, and honestly just trying to work on my speed. Like every day that I wake up, it's some type of speed work. And for me, I tell all these high school kids I come talk to and all these dudes who are trying to get to where I'm at, I'm like, when you get to the league, like everybody's fast, everybody's strong, everybody does, like the best of the best. And so to give yourself a little advantage, one, speed helps, but two, just being able to be out there 24/7, being able to play a full season. I was able to do the past 2 years, and just making yourself available, is the biggest thing for me, and kind of what I started to make my off season planning for, allow my body just to prepare for when it comes to training camp and not being ready like right now, May 2nd.
And Andy Reid, he once they went virtual for this phase back during COVID, he stayed with it.
Yeah.
So you've never known anything differently than doing it virtual. How do you, as we probably hear from your friends around the league who have already been back to practice, or maybe for a couple of weeks if they have a new coach, how much do the players appreciate, being able to have that flexibility during this phase? And how do you spend phase one?
Yeah, personally, I love it, especially, I've been to the Super Bowl the past 3 years, so like I don't know what a shorter offseason really is, but just giving us like an extra 1 or 2 weeks, honestly, is so helpful. Just mentally for me, I always come back to California and just be around my family. Try to get away from all the hoopla of the season and football, and really just come back to like real life, and just realize there's more than football out here. I worked on my foundation a lot this offseason, and trying to just get more out into the community is really how I spend my phase one. And always come onto the virtual meetings, try to get back in the playbook. And I feel like these 2 weeks is such a pivotal time for not only new players, but like for me, who I've been a part of this defense. I know what Spags likes to do, but every time you open up the playbook, every time we have meetings like this, you always learn a few little nuggets that I'm like, oh, dang, I forgot about that. Or, oh, that's something new that I didn't know these past 2 years. So it's really just a learning time for me, and a way for me to kind of relock in and understand it's football season again, which I love.
Looks like we have a couple more for you. We'll go first to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Trent, a draft question for you. Can you take me back to 2022 in the draft? Veach mentioned last week that in their mind, you kind of slid. They thought you would go higher, and that's when they pulled the trigger to make the trade up. Were you sliding in your mind? What was that night like? All the emotions. I know what Coach Reid and maybe Veach as well were on the phone. What was that phone call like? Can you just take me through the highs and maybe lows of that night?
Yeah. Man, I remember going, and we rented out this real nice hotel, got a little room, brought all my family there. And for me, night one, I was like, I don't think I'm going to go. Like, to be honest, I did not think I was going first round. I thought I was going day two. So I was like, night one, let's all just get together, enjoy the draft, like have fun, like enjoy the hoopla. I don't think I'm going to go today. So like, let's really just kick back, relax, like watch the show and see where it ends. And yeah, during the night, I was really chilling. Like, I was just on the couch watching everybody get drafted, talking to my agent, talking to my family. And then I just remember my phone went off. It was Kansas City. And like, to me, I was already like, whoa, like I didn't even know they were on the board. I didn't know that was like a team that was looking at me. And yeah, I just remember picking it up. I talked to Beach, talked to Coach Reid, talked to Spags. And like, I always say during that phone call, it's funny because I look back and like, I didn't really know who I was talking to. I didn't know who the coaches were, like who Veach was. Like, I had zero communication. So like, for me and the Chiefs, that was like my first time even hearing voices. And then I always look back at like with the Chiefs post, and it's like the conversation. I'm like, oh, that's who that was. Oh, that was the person I was talking to. So it was a really fun night. It was exciting when I got drafted for sure, not knowing that I was going to go. And I always shout out just the family, because they were really the ones that kind of held it down, kind of allowed me to not worry so much. You know, they didn't put too much pressure on the night. They were just like, you know, let's just go out there and whatever happens, happens. And we're proud of you no matter what. So that really allowed that anxiety and everything that builds up in the draft kind of just wash away. And now I can look back and have a fond memory of it.
We'll go last to Todd Lebo. Todd?
Hey, Trent, a couple questions. First off, on that virtual side of doing this, as Matt mentioned, I mean, you probably were doing college classes virtually and all that, so it's a little more used to it. Coach mentioned that, you know, it's a different thing for them. They, you know, maybe get the reaction by showing stuff on the big screen. How do you stay engaged during the virtual part of these meetings to get the most out of it that's maybe a little different from being in person?
Yeah, I mean, notebook. Take notes. Honestly, I mean, I'm always want to do that. You know, I'm always taking notes, but especially when you get on Zoom, you know, I'm home, comfortable. Like, I'm not in the classroom. Like, they can't just see what I'm doing unless I'm, you know, on the screen. But yeah, just taking notes, like, of literally the basics of basics. Like, I'm writing down in our notes today the DB rules, you know, rules of the room, like just things like that, that where like it just allows you to stay engaged, kind of like you said. And it kind of just over the like 2 hours of just sitting here watching the screen all day, it kind of gets mundane. It kind of gets boring because, you know, you can't go laughing with your players or, you know, turn around and make a joke or something like that. But yeah, taking notes and honestly just being engaged because they're always asking questions, you know, so they kind of do a good job at not just sitting there and having a PowerPoint and just going through a PowerPoint. Like, there's still conversation. We're still joking around and stuff. So it's not too bad.
And on that contract side, on you're leaving this to your agents, the Chiefs have not really paid cornerbacks. I mean, that's not what they've done with the second contract. You know, a lot of, you know, Legarius is gone, and they let Charvarius Ward go. I mean, is that just maybe happenstance, or is that something you and your agent have talked about? This would be a big deal if they signed you to a second contract.
You know, I haven't really thought of it like that. You know, obviously losing LJ was sad for me and like J Reid and stuff. So I know it's a business. You know, coming into the league, you're taught that this is a business, things happen. But like I keep telling my agent, like I tell everybody, as long as I'm producing on the field, as long as I'm maximizing every opportunity and putting my best foot forward, at the end of the day, whatever they choose, I can live with, you know. And as long as I'm cool in the community, as long as everybody around me on the team, in the community, just what I'm about, what I'm a part, that's all I can do. And if they want to sign me, I would love to. If they don't, I mean, there's nothing but love for Kansas City for me, for sure. So whatever happens, happens.
Thanks so much for the time, Trent. We appreciate it.
Of course. Good seeing y'all.
Thanks.